I was gone for a minute, but I'm back now. Sit the fuck back down. Sin like everybody nowadays, Hollywood. Oh, it's like that now? I'ma show you motherfuckers how to act now. I'ma show them how to act. I'ma show you. I'ma show them how to act. Okay, now picture little Bobby, just a younger run around with his man's hammer in his hand.
Hey guys, Jason here, back again with another GTR video. Now before we start on what we're here for, which is putting the downpipe on this thing, I wanted to make a little update to the boost controller video that I did. I want to give a huge shout out to Josh Taylor, who actually left a comment on the previous video I did about splicing into your fuel pressure regulator, and that it is a no-no. As you can see, I've taken the splice out and replaced it with a fresh line. And actually, this is where I found my boost source line, or my boost
Today, Junior?
This module here is what requires the boost signal. I found that boost signal here, which actually, if you trace that, goes back to the module for your boost gauge, the stock boost gauge here. So I just kind of teed into that. As you can see, I already have a tee into there, and that's for the turbo timer that came with the car. But yeah, do not tee into this. Reason being, there's actually two different reasons. One, when you tee into that, you're actually watering down the signal that the fuel pressure regulator is using to provide fuel for the engine through the RPM range. So say it's trying to read, say it's trying to read 12 psi, but when you put a T in there, it's maybe only reading 11 psi, so you'll be running a little bit lean. Also, if anything fails in this line, so if you have a T in there and the T fails, or one of the small lines coming off the T fails, then you're really going to be reading lean, and that's going to be just catastrophic. So stay away from your fuel pressure regulator line. Make sure that's nice and new. Like I said, I replaced mine there. It's kind of overcap what I did. Two lines from your actuators. There's one down there. The other one's buried deep into there. I use the boost source line from the stock solenoid, and then for your signal, splice up there with your boost gauge. Now let's get to that downpipe. Company that produced this was DNA Racing. Never heard of them. It seems to be pretty decent. Again, I went with eBay on this one. I'll put the link for where I got this in the description. It's actually the same company that I got the test pipe from, but I don't believe the same company actually produced this. The test pipe was Autobahn 88 or something like that. So, I don't know, it still looks pretty good. I didn't want to go with anything fancy like a titanium downpipe from like HKS or Tomei or anything like that, because I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with my turbo setup. So I didn't want to get a crazy awesome downpipe and then have to ditch it and sell it, you know, in the next year or so. So it'll be pretty straightforward. It's going to be 6 bolts. Obviously 2 here for the turbo side, and then the 2 here. These 2 should be pretty easy since we did the test pipe already. Which is right there, so those will come off nice and easy. There we have turbo 2, I guess. And turbo 1's way up there, so that'll be kind of interesting to get to. We'll see what we can do. Right now we're looking at the flange for the rear turbo, which is the easiest to access. Those 2 bolts there, they are 14 mil on my application. I also noticed that you kind of see they're studs, so the new hardware really isn't going to work unless I back those studs out, which I'm not going to do. So we're just going to go ahead and reuse those. I'll probably try and get some new bolts, because those are looking pretty rough, and then try and clean up the threads, but I don't know, we'll see what we can do. Hopefully those will break loose and I won't have to cut them, or God knows what. Anybody who's worked on an older car, especially the exhaust, that's always the first to rust away. Alright, we got the old downpipe off, and it was easier than I thought it was going to be. Everything busted loose pretty easily. I sprayed everything down with WD-40 first, and yeah, I used a series of extensions and 14 mil socket, deep socket, and she came right off. Ooh. Well, it's much larger diameter, not much larger, but definitely noticeable. Alright, enough mastication. Let's get this in here. Be aware when you're fitting your gaskets, if you can tell these two are different diameter than this one here. So make sure you don't get them mixed up. Turbo, exhaust. A little test fit.
Oh, you wanna be stubborn, don't you?
Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, so everything's in. The fitment seems to be good. I mean, it's not a fancy like mine's or Tomei equal length or anything like that, but it's also not like $1,000. And like I said before, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with the turbo system anyway, so. But I do know I probably am not going to keep the stock placement because that's just a bitch to work on. But come this winter or after the car season, that's what I'm going to be tackling are the turbos. I want to at least make sure that these are the OEM ceramic ones, and if they are, make it so they're not. So that's why I mean I wanted this for, you know, the rest of the year, maybe next year depending on what happens. Pretty much just got this for the flow characteristics to kind of go with the 3-inch all the way back. So let's go take it for a spin and see how she sounds. Alright, so we've got everything in. There's the old crap that's going to make its way to the stock box. Here are the tools, everything I use to get here. 17mm socket and wrench, 14mm socket and wrench, breaker bar, something, lots of extensions, WD-4, ow. Oh, let's see what we got. Excuse me. Now the design on this pipe was a little bit different. As you can see, that one was a little bit hard to get to. That's what I was using the 14mm wrench for. Everything else though, you should be able to use sockets to get to. Everything's nice and tight. So now let's do the best part.